Welcome back to the Blackhawks conversation post-game show. Blackhawks lose 4-1 to the Montreal Canadiens. And before we dive into the game, Blackhawks conversation is now on Apple Podcasts. So every post-game show and every regular show will be available in podcast form on Apple Podcasts. So make sure you follow along with that if you'd rather listen to it that way. Or you can just keep watching it on YouTube. That's an option too. So Blackhawks fall 4-1. Uh, Tough loss. Tough to lose to Montreal to begin with. Um, I know a lot of Hawks fans. Me personally, I don't like losing to the Habs. Habs fans are the worst are the worst fans in the NHL. No competition there. In the Bell Center too makes it even tougher, but it is what it is. And the Hawks dropped 13, 15-6. Tough without Connor Bedard, man. Nick Foligno is a big loss too. Obviously, it's Bedard that gets talked about a lot as the reason the Hawks are struggling, but I think Nick Foligno is also a really big gap in the lineup. Not necessarily for the skill, what he does on the ice, but I think just for his presence and his voice and his leadership. Um, yeah, let's get into this one. I mean, the start was like most Hawks games have been starting lately. Hawks were slow. They weren't moving their feet. Not much urgency. They were just very sluggish. And Montreal was really physical early, so that kind of enhanced how noticeable Hawks' poor start was, as Montreal was just all over them. They were skating circles and they were using the body. I don't know what the final count on the hits were, but I can almost assure you it was in Montreal's favor. Um, yeah, so the Hawks, despite, you know, a really bad start, Vlasic scores from the point. It gets called off, goaltender interference on Mikheyev. It was the right call. His foot was in the blue, so it was the right call. And I thought maybe that would give the Hawks some momentum. Yeah, I got called back, but maybe give them a sense of okay, we can play here. We can get a few past him. Dobish was shaky to start the game too, so I was hoping that even though that goal was disallowed, it would give them a spark, and it didn't. Second time that's happened, by the way, in back-to-back games. Obviously, in Toronto, their first goal was disallowed for goaltender interference. Um, I mean, both fair calls, especially so this Mikheyev call. I think it was goaltender interference. I'm not going to argue that. Um, yeah, but then the Hawks fire back again, and Frank Nazar finally gets the monkey off his back. I'm wearing the Nazar jersey for this video. I wore it for the game. I put on X wearing the Nazar jersey for good luck, and it worked, which was crazy. So I might have to wear this more often, although the score wasn't lucky with the score. So yeah, it was a great play. I mean, going all the way back to when Montreal had possession, Frank Nazar bats the puck out of midair in the neutral zone, turning the play over. Hawks get in. Puck gets fired on net by Grizzlick, and Nazar with the drive by tap in. Uh, Pretty calm, cool, collected celebration. There wasn't really much of one, but he did do the monkey off the back gesture when he high-fived the bench, which I thought was pretty cool. So you can tell he was really happy to get that one, and kind of just hoping the floodgates open from there for him. He needs it, and he really needed that one, and I'm glad he got it. Um, there's a train going by my house. Apologize if you can hear that. Um, But still, going up 1-0 in this game didn't do anything for Chicago. Uh, they stayed flat. They stayed with no energy, and Bolduc tied the game. Montreal was cycling pretty uncontested in the offensive zone. When you have a guy like Cole Caulfield working the puck down low with not much physical pressure, that's probably an issue. Um, and he's able to center it for Bolduc in the middle. And Vlasic and Dickinson left him, wide open at the top of the slot. So, I don't know whose blame that falls on more. You want one of either Vlasic or Dickinson, probably Dickinson, to pick him up high, and nobody did. So he was wide open and he put it upstairs. Um, I don't fault Spencer Knight on that one. Spencer Knight had a great night. Um, One positive I did notice is the Nazar line looked good. I thought the first line was the only line that was really moving their feet. um, which is not surprising. I mean, Nazar, Bertuzzi, and Burakovsky are good hockey players. It's, more often than not, they're going to have good nights. So that wasn't a surprise. And one thing that was a surprise, though, is that kid line, the third line of Green, Moore, and Lardis, was basically invisible tonight, which was disappointing. And they were awful in their own end. I feel like they were getting hemmed in all the time. They were not great. They didn't have a great game. Um, so yeah, you get out of the second period, down in shots. Of course, you're just being outplayed completely for 40 minutes, but it's somehow a tie game. So going into the third period, thinking, okay, somehow in this, you got to kill like 12 more seconds of a penalty here. But it's a 1-1 game. And Dobish is having a shaky night. So, and 20 seconds into the third period, Bolduc makes it 2-1. His second of the game, his second home goal of the season. And it's 20 seconds into the period. Hudson shot from the point. Kaiser takes the man, but not the stick, and Bolduc tips it in. Again, not Spencer Knight's fault. You want to see Kaiser take the stick first there instead of the body, but he took the body, and Bolduc was able to deflect it in. And then 53 seconds or 33 seconds after that, sorry, Anderson scores. He gets a tip in. Luckily, that one's also called back for offside. 2 for 2 on the coach's challenges, and it remains a 1-goal game. And still no fight from Chicago. It was just all Montreal. A few good defensive plays. There was a good defensive play by Nazar on the back check. Murphy dove to break up a 2-on-1. Um, then the third line gets hemmed in, and that leads to a 3-1 goal by Beck, or Back, however you say his name. The wrist shot from out far, the rebound goes high, kind of bounces on Knight, and he taps it into his own net with his glove. I actually think the goal was credited to Dobson at the end of the game. I wrote Beck because that's what it was at the time, but I think Dobson is actually credited for that goal. Um, Hawks get a power play. Nothing comes of it, and then Suzuki gets an empty netter, makes it 4-1. And I don't know what Teravainen was doing on that empty net goal. He passed it directly to the middle to Suzuki, who shot it from his own end, dead center into the empty net, and puts the game away. And that leads to my biggest complaint of the game. Nobody shoots the puck on the Blackhawks. The Hawks were outshot 35-15 in this game. Nobody shoots the puck. Not on the power play, not off the rush, not when you're down 2 goals with an empty net. Everyone on this team has a pass first mentality, even Nick Lardis this game, which in his previous 2 games, he was shooting the puck left and right, or at least trying to shoot the puck. He had a great one-timer at the end of the game, and he missed by a mile, and that's another theme. When the Hawks do shoot the puck, they can't hit the net. So between no effort, no physicality, not shooting, when you are shooting, you're not hitting the net, that's a recipe for disaster. You're not going to win any hockey games that way. Despite Spencer Knight playing amazing, which he did, he made 31 saves. Some of them were pretty impressive. Pathetic effort. It really was a pathetic effort. And you know, to me, it just shows that Bedard is the future captain of this team. Bedard is the captain. The team is lost without him. It's not just that they don't score without him; they're just lost without him. Like you can tell, there's no coordination. There's no nothing. Um, they lose their identity without Connor Bedard, and to me, he's the captain of this team, and he should get the C. And he's still only 20 years old, so if they wait a few seasons, that's all right with me. But if anyone's going to be captain of this team, it should be Connor Bedard. Um, and another thing that really bugged me this game was Artem Levshinov. Um, I've joked in the past about, Artem Levshinov's a funny guy. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining. When he makes a mistake, it's funny the way he reacts, throwing his hands in the air, and they pan to him on the bench and he's, looking skyward. But I'm getting really sick of this guy. I mean, bobbling the puck constantly. You can see him thinking on the ice, and he hardly makes the right decision when he's passing the puck, and he's constantly falling over. I mean, it sounds so stupid to say this guy keeps falling over, but every time he gets the puck, he's tripping over his own feet, and it's just not funny anymore. It's frustrating, and that's not what you want out of your second overall pick. It's not cute anymore. It's frustrating. Um, for every post game show, I take to Twitter, follow me over there, and I ask if anybody has any questions or comments about the game. We have one question today from Calvin. Shout out to Calvin. He is always active on these videos, always active on Twitter. He's a great guy, and I'm glad he asked a question today. And his question was, how much do you think we're in a slump versus Bedard being out as the issue right now? Um, I think this team was in a slump before Bedard got injured. I mean, I don't even know if you call it a slump before he was injured. They just were kind of regressing to the mean. I mean, even when they were playing well, their numbers were not sustainable, and the underlying numbers weren't sustainable. And I think they were kind of regressing back down to their normal. Um, but I think it's just amplified without Bedard. Like again, I don't really think it's a slump. I think it's just this team regressing back to what they are. Um, and it's not a bad thing. This is really year 3 of the rebuild. The rebuild started in 2022 when Kyle Davidson took over. This is year 3. Think about how this team's playing 3 years removed from the start of the rebuild and the amount of amazing prospects they have, and just the amount of prospects they have to begin with. Um, I like where they're at. I mean, they're playing competitive hockey up until, you know, mid-December. Um, that's a big step in the right direction. Um, but yeah, not having Bedard is going to cause issues. Even if they were playing good hockey before he got injured, um, probably wouldn't be sustainable after he goes down. I mean, he just is so much of this team. He's part of 49% of this team's goals this year. Um, whether you're a good or a bad team, when you lose that, it's going to change. It's going to change the outcome of games. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't even call it a slump. I think it's just the team regressing to where they are. So yeah, my final thoughts for this game. The big three, there's no effort from anybody. That's not true. I noticed effort from obviously Spencer Knight had a good game. I noticed effort from Nazar, Iser, Honinato, and Donato. Those are the only guys who looked like they gave a shit tonight. And of course, when only 5 guys show up, no matter how well they play, you're not winning. You're not winning any hockey games. Um, so that's an issue. There's no physicality. That's another issue. When this team was playing well, it's because they were physical and they were actually fighting back, and they've lost that. That was short-lived. Um, and no Connor Bedard. Obviously, it's a big one. But and Levshinov, Artem Levshinov is the other thing I'm riled up about. I'm getting pretty sick of it. To me, if they sent Levshinov down and brought up Kevin Korchinski, I wouldn't be upset. I've been saying it for a while. I think Korchinski deserves a shot up here. Um, between him, Allen, and Del Mastro, I do think Del Mastro was the first to earn a shot, and he is up here now, although he didn't play tonight. Um, I think, especially if you have Renzel down and you're not even putting Levshinov on your top power play anymore, bring Kevin Korchinski up here and have him run the power play. Give him the minutes he deserves. So that's kind of where I'm at with Levshinov right now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe. Follow me over on Twitter. There's always a lot of good conversation over there. And like I said, this show and this post game is now available on Apple Podcasts. So go over there, follow the show there, listen to it over there if you would rather do that. And I'll see you in the next post game.